Level 1. The farmer. You wake up before the sun. Not because you want to, because the field won't wait. You pull on a rough linen kilt, still damp from yesterday. You pick up your wooden hoe. The blade is cracked. You've wrapped it with twine to keep it together one more season. The Nile flooded 3 months ago. The water receded and left behind a thick black mud that smells like the bottom of the world. That mud is the only reason Egypt exists. That mud is the only reason you exist. You turn it with your hoe, row by row, until your back locks and your hands bleed at the knuckles. You grow wheat, you grow barley, you grow flax. At harvest, a scribe arrives with a knotted rope. He measures your field. He writes a number on papyrus. That number decides how much of your own crop you keep. You do not negotiate with the number. When the flood season comes and the fields go underwater, your labor is conscripted. You haul limestone blocks for a monument you will never be permitted to enter. The state feeds you bread and beer for this. That is the arrangement. You will never own the land. The land belongs to the Pharaoh. It always has. You are borrowing it season by season for the price of your body. Level 2. The Scribe Apprentice. You are 12 years old. You sit cross-legged in a limestone courtyard at the edge of the temple complex. The sun is barely up. In front of you is a pottery shard and a reed brush worn to a thin point. You are not writing on papyrus. Papyrus is expensive. You have to earn papyrus. Your job is to copy. You copy the same sign 40 times. Then you copy a different sign 40 times. Then you copy a sentence about grain yields. Then the same sentence again. Your teacher walks behind you. When your strokes are wrong, he marks the shard in red. You grind the pigment yourself each morning. You fetch his water. You keep your mouth shut. There are 700 hieroglyphic signs to learn. There's a faster shorthand script called hieratic that you use for everyday records. You will spend years learning both before you touch anything official. The men in your courtyard will grow up to be the most literate people in a civilization where 1 person in 100 can read. That is not nothing. That is armor. But right now you are 12, your wrist aches, and the shard in front of you is covered in the same crooked sign, 39 times wrong. The master picks it up. He looks at it. He sets it back down. He says nothing. That silence is the only grade you get. You pick up the brush and try again. Level 3. The Royal Scribe. You carry your own palette now. Fine ivory, 2 ink cakes, a set of reeds you cut yourself to a specific width. You walk into the records hall in the palace administrative complex, and the apprentices stand up. Your job is to make things real. In ancient Egypt, if it isn't written, it didn't happen. You measure fields with a knotted rope after the flood recedes. The number you write becomes the tax. You count livestock. You log grain yields. You track labor rosters for construction gangs, listing who worked, who died, who ran. When an official above you needs a letter drafted, he tells you what it should say. You write it. His seal goes on it. His authority speaks. Your hand did the work. The farmers cannot argue with your papyrus. A man can stand in his ruined field and say the flood took everything. You show him the number. The number is permanent. You are the reason it's permanent. This is where the cost hides. When the quotas stay fixed and the harvest fails, you are the one sitting across from the farmer. You are the one writing the impossible number. You carry the reed. Not the Vizier, not the Nomarch. You roll the papyrus. You press the seal into the clay. What happened in that field no longer matters. What you wrote is what happened. Level 4. The Wab Priest. You shaved your head this morning. You shaved your entire body. You bathed in the sacred lake in the dark before dawn. You chewed natron salt until your mouth was raw. Purity is not a feeling here. It is a procedure. You either completed the steps or you didn't. There is no almost pure. You are a wab, a pure one, the lowest order of the priesthood. You carry the sacred vessels from the storage chamber to the inner forecourt. You move slowly. You do not speak. You set the offering vessels down on the stone table without letting them touch each other. Bread, roasted fowl, beer, linen. The god will be presented with these things. Your job is to make sure the presentation is correct. The senior priests walk past you. They enter the inner sanctuary. The doors gilded and sealed. You have seen it every morning for 4 years. You have never opened it. You serve on rotation, 1 month and 4 inside the temple. The other 3 months, you live an ordinary life in the city. You wear ordinary clothes. You eat ordinary food. And then the rotation comes again and you shave and fast and purify and return. Sacred and ordinary in alternating seasons, never fully either one. The door opens. The senior priest enters. The door closes. You wait outside with the offering bread and the smell of incense thickening the air. Whatever happens in there, you are not allowed to ask. Level 5. the first prophet. The door that has been closed to you for 20 years is open now because you hold the key. You are the Hem-Necher Tepi, the first prophet of Amun. You are the highest priest in the most powerful temple in Egypt. The temple of Amun at Karnak owns a third of Egypt's farmland. It owns villages, ships, cattle herds. It employs thousands of priests, farmers, administrators, and artisans. You manage all of it in the god's name. Each dawn you perform the Weben, the opening ritual. You unseal the god's shrine. You remove the statue's linen wrapping from the day before. You clothe it in fresh linen. You anoint it with oil. The air in the sanctuary goes thick and golden. You speak the words. You reseal the shrine. You back out of the room facing the god because you do not turn your back on the divine. On festival days, the god's statue is carried through the city on a golden bark, lifted on the shoulders of your priests. Crowds line the road. A petitioner calls out a question. The statue moves. You interpret the movement. You speak the god's answer. Land disputes end on your word. Succession questions resolve on your word. You are not claiming to speak for the god. You are speaking for the god. The difference has stopped being clear. By the late New Kingdom, the first prophet of Amun accumulates enough land, wealth, and authority to rival the crown. Pharaohs begin to notice. That is when this job becomes dangerous. Level 6, the Nomarch. You are inspecting your own tomb while you're still alive. The painters are working on the south wall, a hunting scene. You in a reed boat, spear raised. The figure is taller than you are. You do not correct them. You are the Nomarch, the great overlord of your nome. Egypt is divided into 42 nomes. You run one of them. Within its borders, you are the law. You collect taxes and forward the required portion to the Vizier while keeping your administrative cut. You judge disputes, land boundaries, inheritance, assault. Your ruling ends the case. You raise local militia when the Pharaoh needs soldiers. When he doesn't, those soldiers answer to you. When you travel through the nome, villagers line the road and bow with their eyes down. The local priests bow. The merchants bow. They wait until you have passed before they stand. Your power feels absolute. In weak dynasties, when the crown fractures and succession wars break out, nomarchs like you rule as kings in everything but name. During the intermediate periods, some of you do exactly that. But a strong pharaoh is the end of that arrangement. Thutmose III restructured the nome system specifically to reduce hereditary nomarchs. A single royal decree can strip everything. The seal ring, the staff, the painted tomb, the bowing road. One letter from the palace and you are a private citizen. You look at the painting. You look taller in it. You let it stand. Level 7. The Vizier. You have been awake for 3 hours before the first official enters. You are sitting in the hall of the Vizier. Men are standing in a semicircle in front of you, holding their morning reports. They do not sit until you tell them to. They do not speak until you call on them. You are the Chedi, the Vizier. There are 2 of you now, one for Upper Egypt seated in Thebes, one for Lower Egypt at Memphis. Every department in the country reports up through your office. The treasury, the granaries, the military, public works, border security, all the nomarchs. The pharaoh sets the direction. You build the road. The duties of the Vizier is a real text. Carved in the tomb of Reshmir, it says you must hear every petitioner without partiality, high and low, rich and poor. It says you must be the copper wall between the powerful and the powerless. It says this. You read it when you were appointed. You think about it on certain days more than others. You brief the pharaoh each morning. You choose what he hears. Information that does not reach the pharaoh does not exist. That is where your real power lives. When the flood is bad, when a campaign fails, when the grain runs short, the pharaoh cannot be blamed. He is a god. Gods do not fail. Someone else did. You are the most powerful man in Egypt who is not the pharaoh. You are also the most convenient explanation for everything that goes wrong. You carry the envelopes from every nomarch in the country upward. Tonight you will carry the weight of every one of them home alone. Level 8. The Pharaoh. You are being dressed. This takes an hour. Each piece of regalia has a name. Each name has a meaning. Each meaning has a ritual attached to it, and the ritual must be observed in the correct sequence or the whole thing starts over. You do not rush it. The attendants do not rush it. By the time the last piece is placed, you are no longer the man who slept. You are the Pereya, the great house, the Nesu, the lord of the 2 lands, son of Ra. You wear the double crown, the red of Lower Egypt nested inside the white of Upper Egypt, and you feel the weight of it pressing down through your spine into the floor. The crook and the flail are crossed on your chest. The false beard is strapped to your jaw. You have become the argument that the universe is in order. Your primary duty is not war. It is not building. It is maintaining Ma'at, the cosmic principle of balance, truth, and order. Every correct ritual you perform, every just decision your vizier enacts in your name, every flood season that arrives on schedule is evidence that you are doing your job. When the flood fails, it is evidence that you are not. You lead military campaigns in the New Kingdom. You stand in a chariot at the front of the army because that is what the office requires. The courage is not optional. It is part of what you are. You build temples, obelisks, mortuary complexes. Every structure with your name on it is a negotiation with death, an argument carved in stone that you existed and that your existence mattered. You commission scribes to record your victories. They do not record your defeats. When you enter a room, no one looks at your face. Direct eye contact with the Pharaoh is a theological act. It requires permission. Men bow with their eyes to the floor, and they stay that way until you give them leave to rise. You are the most watched person in the ancient world, and almost nothing you do is yours. Your schedule is ritual. Your meals are ceremony. Your children are political instruments. Your body belongs to Egypt. When you grieve, which you do, for children who die before you, for campaigns that cost more than they returned, you grieve privately, in a room, in the hour after the regalia comes off. Ma'at does not falter in public. The god does not show the cracks. At the end of the day, the attendants return. They remove each piece in reverse order, the same ritual run backward. The last piece comes off. You are a man again, a tired man in a quiet room. Tomorrow the priests return before dawn, and you become the god again. There is no version of this life where you remain the man. You did not choose this. You were born into it, which is the same as being chosen, which is the same as having no choice at all. Your name will be carved in stone that survives 3,000 years. The man who wore the name will not survive the week he dies. You look at the crown resting on its stand across the room. Tomorrow it goes back on. It is very heavy. It has always been very heavy. You have never once said so out loud.